Hi, Stuart Bruce here, and I am the Spare Time Property Investor. In these podcasts, I'm going to share tips, tricks and lessons that I've learned and will hopefully help you, especially if you're still working the 9 to 5.
Hi, Stuart Bruce here for another episode of the Spare Time Property Investor podcast. And today is all about sweat equity. Not the kind of sweat you get when you're working out in a gym, like my little mini gym here. I've just had a little quick workout. But by getting your hands dirty on the first couple of deals. So for a lot of people, this is the only way to get started in property. For us, our experience was we bought a house. We did all of the work ourselves to make that house, it was our own home, make that house nice to live in, but we also added value. Then we did it again. And from that second house, we were able to release enough money to get a deposit for a rental property. And then we did that house up, and on that house, we with a joint venture partner, we have none of our own money left in that deal. So that's an infinite return, if you want to kind of use that phrase that people band around for these sorts of things. So then we did another deal, and we got our hands kind of dirty, a little bit less. But I'll tell you what, more than anything, it's given us the opportunity to invest, but also it allows us to understand what's involved. So now when a builder's asking us questions, or we're asking them to quote, that sort of thing, we can talk with some authority and knowledge of what goes into knocking a wall down, changing some radiators, all that sort of business, because we've done it. We've been there. My first, very, very, looking right back in the mists of time, right back to when I still lived at home with my mum. We didn't have central heating, and I wasn't working at the time. I was a musician, so which is kind of code for unemployed at the time, I got a book and put central heating into that property. So that is one of my very, very first kind of forays into DIY and getting my hands dirty and things like that. And it just gave me the confidence that I was going to be able to kind of do whatever came up. You know, whether or not I was the best at it, whether or not somebody else could do it quicker, they absolutely can. But I was able to get my hands dirty and make it work for the first few properties. Now, this is something that I think people shouldn't shy away from. I think it's a great way to get started, but I think it's one of those things you should do for a little while, and then, like it says in the E-Myth, start working on your business, not in your business. So at some point, it's the right thing to do to outsource that work, to get a plumber, a builder, carpenter, all those different people in your power team, so you can then go and give those jobs to other people while you get on with other things that only you can do or you're best at. So that is definitely something to be considerate of. But the other thing about sweat equity is, I think it's actually something I missed a trick on. Back in the day, when I was learning about property, I was quite happy to get my hands dirty. And I'll tell you what, I'd have been very happy to offer my services for free to somebody who is a few steps ahead of me in property. And I learned so much from them. I could still do it, actually, couldn't I? I could go and give somebody who's a few steps ahead of me some free labour or something like that, just to get in amongst it and just to see how other people do it. But thinking back to when I first started looking at property, I could have easily contacted somebody on social media and said to them, look, I'm interested in property. I don't know the first thing about it, but what I can do is I can be a labourer for you for that day, that sort of thing. And it would have given me an in. Now, even if that person turned me down or just didn't take me up on the offer, I've got an introduction. So I think it's actually got so many benefits. Either learning the ropes, making it actually possible because you don't have a lot of money in the bank, making it possible to go from one deal to the next because you've added capital without spending loads and loads of money on tradespeople, or getting your foot in the door with some of those people who are a few steps ahead of you. Honestly think it's one of those things that people talk about different courses and different strategies and stuff like that, but for an absolute newbie, I think this is definitely something you should consider. Not for the long term, like I said, but it's definitely something you should consider if you're just getting started or you're just getting really very low yields on properties and you want to step up a little bit, you can get your hands dirty. You can buy something that needs some work doing to it, and you can add a little bit of value, which just gives you that a little extra capital to then roll into the next deal if you finance it properly. And how do you know what to do? This is the other thing, isn't it? How do you know that what you're doing is right? YouTube. These days, when I first did that central heating I was saying about earlier at my mum's place, and by the way, I did all of it apart from plumb the boiler in. I did all of it. I can't believe I did it. But there wasn't really much in a way of like YouTube and stuff like that back in the day. But now I'd be able to just bring something up on YouTube. There'd be an expert there showing me exactly what to do, what equipment to have, what pieces that I needed, whatever. All the questions I would have had on my mind are answered now. So you can get yourself on YouTube and find out all those little tricks that people have put up on there. But one thing I would say is, if you're doing something big like knocking a wall down, be very, very careful, because what you don't want to do is go a little bit too far and have the first floor of your property land on your head, because nobody likes that. But anyway, just a really short episode. It just came to me earlier, and I don't know why I've not really spoken about it too much before, because I genuinely think it's one of those things that can really accelerate your entrance into property investment. And also, once you've done it a couple of times, you can do it in your own home as well. You could get something that's a bit run down, but in a nicer area and maybe a little bit bigger, do the work yourself, and get yourself something a little bit nicer, instead of going and getting something that's already been done. Because you're going to go in there, you're going to redecorate, you probably want a different kitchen or something, so you're going to do a lot of work anyway, so you might as well get a bit of a wreck and add some capital while you're doing it. So I always think of property investment as something that also involves your own home in a way, because it is a big expense, and if you can make it work for you, why not? Because we're all building skills, we're all building knowledge and connections as well, and everything like that. So why not help it? Let us help it in our own homes as well. But anyway, that's just a short episode. My thoughts on sweat equity. I hope you like this. I hope it's given you kind of a little bit of I think it's a good thing for a lot of people to do, especially early days. I mean, me and Lara have done a lot of work ourselves, especially in the first couple of houses, and it's been kind of fun actually. So yeah, I think it is something to definitely consider. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please like it, please give it a good review, please share it as well on your socials. I'd really appreciate it, because anything I can do to get the word out there really helps to kind of boost the podcast and get the message out there for different people who are balancing a day job alongside property investment. If you're watching the video, you'll see that I've changed costume all of a sudden. That's because my phone ran out of memory while I was recording this. So I'm just finishing it off the morning after. So that's it from me. I hope you have a great week. Best of luck, and I'll see you again next time. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please leave me a 5-star review to help other people find it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.